Hi, my name is John, and welcome to another edition of Statistics Quest. Today I want to talk to you about probability and odds, actually, more so odds. They're related, as we will see. So, a couple definitions. Probability is the chance that something happens. Okay, so we all use probability. Maybe we don't realize that we use it, but so for example, if we say that we believe there's a 1 out of 3 chance of something happening, what we're really saying is for every 3 attempts that there is one time that event will happen. Okay, so event is actually anything that we define. For example, if we go to a ball game and we think that, for every 3 times that this scenario plays out, so to speak, meaning 3 times that we go to this ball game under these conditions, one time our team will win. Or more simply, if you have, say, 3 numbers in a hat, 1, 2, and 3, and you want to know the probability of pulling a 2 out, well, that would be a 1 out of 3 chance. Okay. Odds are related to probabilities. Odds are the ratio of times that something will happen to the times that something does not happen, or actually vice versa. Okay, so for example, let's say that we have a horse is 4-1, right? If you've gone to the races, you may have seen something like that. What that means is that for every 4 times the horse does not win, there is 1 time the horse does win, or at least that's the expected winning rate of the horse. A lot of times what is not mentioned in odds is the term either for or against. And for example, in horse racing, against is normally what's meant. So for example, if we say the odds are 4-1 of a horse winning a race, okay, well, what we really mean is 4-1 against the horse winning the race, if indeed we believe there are 4 times that a horse doesn't win for every 1 time they do win. So we would use against, 4-1 against, meaning 4-1 against that event happening. Now, sometimes you'll see a big favorite for a horse race, right? Maybe they're 1-5, okay? And you won't see it listed as 5-1, you'll see it listed as 1-5. And again, they often don't use the term against, but what they mean is for every 1 time they don't win, there's 5 times they do win. So that's 1-5 against. Or we could flip it. If we thought that they were such an overwhelming favorite, they would actually be 5-1 for, meaning for every 5 times they win. Notice the word for is affirmative, right? It's a positive word. For every 5 times they win, there's 1 time they don't win. Okay, so again, getting back to this 4-1, almost always, it's going to mean for every 4 times they don't win, there is 1 time they win, and that means it's against. Again, a lot of times we leave off the word against. So it's a ratio, times of winning to times of not winning, or vice versa. Okay, one quick example. If you follow football, and whether you bet it or not, you will see odds very often with different bets. And one such bet that's actually coming up, I believe it's going to be announced, I think the Saturday before the Super Bowl or something like that, will be the NFL MVP. Okay, and I think the top 2 competitors, at least for this year, are Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers. And in fact, the last I looked was maybe a week ago. I don't know if it's changed, but Brady was actually plus 550. Now, this is another way that we can express odds. It's actually kind of in betting terms. When you see a plus 550, that really means you win 550 for every 100 you put up, or we could translate that to 5.5-1 against, meaning the odds are against Tom Brady winning at 5.5-1. Aaron Rodgers, he's actually a minus. This is a minus sign here, minus 400. Actually, that translates into a pretty big favorite, where it means for every 400 you put up, you win 100, okay? Or, you can reverse, it doesn't matter which order you say that in. But so you got to lay more money to win, essentially less money. For every 400 you put up, you only win 100. And of course, that makes sense. If you're a big favorite, the less of a return you're going to get if that bet comes in. Just a kind of an interesting follow-up to this. You may have heard in the news there was one particular voter that said he was not going to vote for Aaron Rodgers because of the whole vaccination thing. And, so some people might be inclined to say, you know what? They both had good years. Aaron Rodgers had a better year if you look at one metric. Tom Brady had a better year if you maybe look at another metric. And so it's kind of almost hard to decide. And it's almost tempting, and even for myself, to think, well, boy, Brady getting 550 to, or actually 5.5 to 1, might be a smart bet. There's one difference between this type of an odds bet and maybe what's called a futures bet, let's say in football, where at the beginning of the year, you get a team, maybe they're 30 to 1 to win the Super Bowl. And the difference that I want to point out is that when you're making a bet like that, nothing is played out, right? You have no idea, and maybe you're trying to say, oh, that team is better than 30 to 1, and I think that's a profitable bet in the long run. Even if they only win 1 in 20 times, so to speak, that's still a profitable bet. Here, this has already been decided, only we don't know what the decision is. In other words, you got to be careful when you make this kind of a bet. One might look enticing, and even though supposedly only one sports writer has tipped their hand, it could be that a lot of other sports writers have kind of intimated who they're going to vote for and things like that. So these odds are kind of created in a different sense than that beginning of the year scenario that I said. So I hope that makes sense. For that reason, just for my own purposes, I try to stay away from these kind of bets because, in other words, somebody could kind of be in the know and they are manipulating these odds to entice you. But anyway, that's kind of a side thing. I just thought I would mention that, but we'll see how that plays out shortly. But the main gist of this whole section was to talk about one other thing I do want to mention about odds. Not only are they a ratio, but this is something that I notice with a great majority of sports books, and that is that something like a latest line or a point spread. For example, this year's Super Bowl, the Rams are a 4-point favorite over the Bengals. That is a point spread. Those are not odds. A great majority of the public wants to call them odds. Okay, they're not odds. Odds are ratios. Anyway, so I hope you did like this session of Statistics Quest. Wasn't much to it, just really a basic watered down version of probability and odds. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them. And don't forget to hit like. See you next time on Statistics Quest.